The amount of magma in the magma chamber underneath Svartsengi has never been higher. It's very, very full. And the University of Iceland has just released a statement. They said, "Good evening all. Looks like subsidence is underway at almost all stations in and around Svartsengi. So maybe the magma has already started its ascent towards the surface." So if there's subsidence, that means the magma chamber is full. But if magma is flowing out of the magma chamber, there is subsidence. And usually before an eruption, what we have seen in the last few eruptions, the land keeps rising, and then it kind of stops, reaches the point of maximum elasticity, and then the magma is sent out. And there were so many earthquakes on the Reykjanes Peninsula, like more than 400 earthquakes had been recorded in this big earthquake swarm. There was a magnitude 3.5 south of Reykjanes, and they already said then, like they're expecting the eruption within the next 3 days. That's what Thorvaldur Thorvaldsson is saying. And there's also drone footage that captures the Sutnuk crater area, where usually the eruption's always happening, because they want to see, is something changing? Is there gas coming out? And they're also not ruling out that earthquake swarm that we've seen over the last few days might intensify again. And they are expecting, that's what the Met Office is saying, an eruption at any time. Likely similar to what the previous eruptions look like, but here's the but. They think that this growing and intensifying seismicity raises the likelihood of a major eruption, bigger than the ones we have seen over the last 1.5 years. So because the seismic activity has been intensifying so rapidly there, so and because of that, they think that an eruption is imminent. And remember, I have just reported about Campi Flegrei with these crazy seismic swarms, where the INGV, basically the official statement was, well, blah, 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 blah. There is no sign for an imminent eruption. While the scientists are saying, well, things are increasing, we should evacuate. Well, there are no signs of an imminent eruption until there is a sign, and there is a sign in Iceland. And Benedikt Gunnar of Feiksson, he's the head of the deformation measurements at the Icelandic Meteorological Office. He says it looks like it will end, it's cumulating into an volcanic eruption. And you know, the last eruption that we've seen, that was the 7th since the December 18th, 2023 eruption. There was this massive magma intrusion on November 2023. 3 months have passed since then. This is the longest period of magma accumulation underneath Svartsengi. Usually the past eruptions have always happened within like 4 to 6 weeks sort of thing, sometimes even shorter. So we already have like 116 days since the previous eruption began on November 20th, and that ended on December 9th. So is a bigger eruption on the horizon? And also a Feiksson thinks that an eruption could occur within weeks, and he's warning that it might be larger than the previous ones. And that could be a problem, because the previous ones have really challenged the defense walls and have basically parked in the parking lot of the Blue Lagoon. They have been preparing over the last few weeks. They have made the defense walls higher, but should there be any breach, now there is a low spot, especially Svartsengi is a dangerous low spot if there is a breach. So he says, Benedikt Gunnar of Feiksson, the longer the interval between eruptions, so the greater the likelihood of a major eruption. But of course, it's never guaranteed that it has to be bigger. It could be the same, again, could be only 1 day. We don't know. But definitely he also confirms the influx of magma into that magma chamber has slowed down because it's getting full. And that has contributed to this increase of seismic activity, because now if a magma chamber reaches the point of maximum elasticity, then rocks around it start to crack. Tensions are growing, and that creates earthquakes. So that strong earthquake swarm that we have seen at Reykjanes, is that connected? Could this be like tension from Svartsengi transferring into other areas because the tension is growing so much? And yeah, Ofaikson says there might be a connection. It doesn't have to be, but there are regular earthquake swarms at Reykjanes, and definitely an interaction between the two areas is possible. He says we've seen before that when the land rise at Svartsengi exceeds the previous limits, so if it's fuller than before, the seismic activity across the Reykjanes Peninsula increases because that land rise is spreading the tension. There's more rocks cracking and being brittle. But again, he says, but these earthquake swarms at Reykjanes are common. There have been 5 occurring in the same area since 2023. And then there's been a lot of rumors that this could be it, that this could be the last eruption in this eruption and unrest series that began on November 10th in 2023. And he says, yes, there is a possibility that this could be the last one that we see in this sequence. Thorvaldur Thorvaldsson has predicted that for the eruption last summer. He said maybe if it erupts in July, August, that could be the last one. But, nothing is sure. He says we can't rule out that it's the last one. The magma inflow has slowed significantly. So it seems there is less magma coming up less quickly from the deeper magma reservoir. And he says, and it's uncertain right now whether it will return to the previous levels, or is it gradually dying down? It's hardening, it's clogging. He says we won't know for sure until much later. So we have to wait for the current eruption and then see how long that lasts and what the measuring data will tell us about it. He also says another possibility is we might be waiting for the next eruption, but it might never come. But many scientists expect it to come very, very shortly with probably almost no warning time. Little to no warning. And he also says, well, we have a lot of data here about Svartsengi, and there have been so many eruptions that we can kind of guess what's happening next, but predicting the future of this volcanic activity in this region remains challenging. There have been rumors already last year. Is it transferring towards Eldwerp? Is like going into the Krýžovik system? Is it erupting again at Fagradalsfjall? But then the volcano has always kind of remained in the same area. And he also says the inflow from the deeper magma chamber could pick up again, or unforeseen events could change the situation entirely. So it's 50-50. They know that they don't know, and basically we have to wait and see. That's all we can do. We have also heard from Magnus Tumi Gudmundsson. He's a professor of geophysics, and he also says everything indicates that the eruption will occur in the same areas as the last one, and he thinks the eruption will be probably the same size, and most indications are that an eruption could begin at any time and in the same areas, similar in scale, although so much magma has accumulated, right? He also says it's not unlikely that it will happen in the next few days. But now that the University of Iceland has just released this land subsidence, it could indicate that the magma is already on its way, flowing into the tunnels that it has already built in the previous eruptions, and then building up pressure and then coming to the surface. Could happen this night. Most of the eruptions start at night, where they look the most spectacular. So good news for Grindavik, what Magni Tuma Gudmundsson says, nothing is specifically indicating right now that an eruption could occur anywhere other than in the Sutnuka crater series, where it would pose a greater threat to infrastructure or to Grindavik. So they don't think it's going to erupt inside Grindavik, for example. But it could extend southwards like it has done in previous eruptions. It could start in the same area, and it preferred to expand more northern, in the more northern areas in the last eruption. But if it expands to the south towards Hagafell or past Hagafell, and then there's a long lava flow, a longer lasting eruption that threatens Grindavik again. The defense wall is there. So he says, we hope for the best, that the dams that they built will hold, that they will be able to protect important infrastructure like the power plant and the Blue Lagoon, and that Grindavik will be largely spared. So we have heard, like 2 eruptions ago, that some engineers have said, well, 1 or 2 more of these eruptions and we might not be able to protect Svartsengi anymore. And it was a close call in the last one. And there were like underground tunnels forming that were pushing from underground towards these defense walls. And then they're building up and then boop, they come over the defense wall. So it remains to be seen if it's really a much larger one that also lasts longer. Yeah, it's going to be critical in my opinion. If it's a shorter one, they're probably good. But you know, the lava carpet has been getting higher and higher and higher and higher in all these last eruptions. So they had to build the defense walls higher and higher to make up for that. But they really think the final chapter of the Sutno Crater series has begun. And I wanted you to know about that. And guys, if you're new here, subscribe to stay on the pulse with me. If you're interested what's going on in Italy, that's really a gong show there. It's dangerous. Check out the videos in the end screen. And if you want to support the channel, guys, become a supporting member, a monthly membership. Click the join button or check the link in the description. And if you want to support me with coffee to keep me going, go to my buymeacoffee.com/silky website to support me there. Thank you so much for doing that, guys. It helps a lot. Thank you for the supers here on YouTube. And I'm coming out with a new Campi Fliegre update as well soon. So thanks, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.